Carli, I do want to ask you a U.S. men's question because after the Copa America debacle, you said on our air you thought the players were too chummy with Greg Berhalter, that you referenced the fact that you hated some of your coaches and maybe the U.S. needed that dynamic on the men's side. And now you have Tyler Adams, a player who fought for Greg Berhalter to be rehired, coming out and saying, yeah, I think we need a ruthless guy now that's going to kick our ass a little bit. So what did you make of those comments? Do you feel like that validated what you were saying during the summer?
Yeah, I was chuckling at that because I'm like, what, how did we go from, you'd run through a brick wall for this guy and, you get to talk about things other than soccer and all these things. And I think that there's a fine line, there's a fine balance. I mean, Emma clearly has been wanting to, treat people as human beings with the US women's national team and get to know players and all of those things. And I would imagine she has a good balance of that, but also pushing the players. And I mean, yeah, I was shocked to hear that, but that's sort of, and I didn't even get any inside info to that or anything. It just was the vibe that I had where I just didn't think that these players were being pushed, and I thought it was too comfortable. And I think that they sort of need a Emma-esque, no BS coach that comes in on their side and holds everybody accountable, pushes everybody, and kind of resets, everything. And like Alexi, you've been saying all along, you want somebody to come in to make everybody excited to watch this team. And that is exactly what Emma's done. I think everybody watching this US team throughout the Olympics, just recently, people have fell in love or fell back in love with the team. And we need that on the men's side. So I think, US soccer made a great decision with Emma. I would imagine that they're going to make a great decision on the men's side, but these players should not be comfortable. And I was, I was chuckling at that interview.
Spot on, Carli. Emma has come in, and everything that the team wasn't last summer, that you and I and everybody were talking about last summer, it is the opposite in terms of obviously the results on the field, but the way in which those results happen, the players, the personalities, the likability, all that kind of stuff. Emma has come in and done the things needed in order to get this team where they are, not just standing on the podium, but people actually coming in to that tent and wanting to see it.
Lex, picking up where we left off with Carli, I asked her about the U.S. men's coaching search. Remember, last week, and all the stories were that Pellegrino Matarazzo was going to get the job. That turned out to not be the case. And now this past weekend, Mauricio Pochettino emerged as the favorite. Paul Tenorio reported it. Doug McIntyre is hearing the same as well. Pochettino, obviously a massive name, no international coaching experience, but he's managed the likes of Tottenham, PSG, and Chelsea. This jives with a previous article Doug McIntyre wrote that Matt Crocker was leaning towards a big-name foreigner. What do you think? If it happened to be Pochettino, how would that hit you?
Fine, great, do it, get it done. If that's what Matt Crocker believes needs to be done, I don't disagree with it. Like you said, he has yet to experience the international game, he and Pochettino as a coach. It certainly checks the box of a sexy name. And I think that, to your point, it's not that he has to do something like that, but I think there is a lot of expectation that this hire is going to do something that we haven't seen before. And I do think that this would satisfy that. I think the salary that he commands, his background, and I'm not saying that Jurgen Klinsmann wasn't a high-profile type of signing, but what Pochettino has done, I think he has garnered praise with his club resume that a lot of people would say, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, that's exciting. That is sexy. It brings up, a question that I've been asked multiple times right now is, do we just want it done, or do we want it done right? I think everybody would say you want it done right, but how long is too long? Because this continues to go, and we had talked earlier in previous episodes of State that you had to kind of get through the Olympics. Now the Olympics are done. We're coming into the fall season, and certainly with the U.S. With games. And someone was asking me the other day, at what point does not having a U.S. men's national team coach become a problem? And my answer is the same that has always been. And it is, I think, unique to where we sit right now, less than 2 years out from 2026. Every day that there is a vacancy is a day that is lost that could, if somebody had been appointed, that could have been used to make the 2026 World Cup more successful, and more successful both on and off the field. The World Cup now starts in what? As we sit here today, 667, 68 days from now. And I do feel that the coach of the U.S. men's national team leading into this 2026 World Cup that, as we all know, we are hosting here along with our friends to the North Canada and our friends to the South Mexico. I do think that this in particular, this job is unique. You are coaching the home team. You are coaching America. And you need to be an inspirational force for this team. Yes, for this tournament. Yes, for this country. And yes, for the future of the game in the United States. And so for the next now less than 2 years, this person's job, if it's Pochettino or anybody else, is to not only get us the wins and provide the X's and O's on the field, but also to excite us and to inspire us in the same way that we just heard Carli Lloyd talking about what Emma Hayes has done. You need somebody that is going to do that. And yes, that is part of the job description as far as I'm concerned. It's not just about winning. Yes, winning is a huge component of it, but in this unique moment, in this unique situation, you have to be that proverbial pioneer. You have to be the ambassador. You have to be spreading the gospel. And that's somebody that I want. Can Pochettino do that? Maybe in a different way. His English isn't great, but I do think he can be that inspirational type of person that everyone says, you know what? I was really down. And after that incredible failure that happened this summer in Copa America, I was not positive about the direction that it's heading. And like that, you can change it, not just with your results on the field, but also with your attitude that you bring in.
What's interesting about Pochettino is whenever we bring up these big name foreign coaches, you always raise the question, it's a fair one, would their coaching skills translate to a totally different context? Because if you're used to coaching super clubs, and how are you going to handle coaching the U.S. national team and oftentimes having less talent than the opposition? Pochettino did manage Espanyol and Southampton and did a pretty good job in both those places. And even Tottenham, to take them to a Champions League final and to finish second in the Premier League was considered punching above their weight, given the fact that they spent comparatively less than the other big teams in England. So there are some things on his resume that you could argue are analogous to coaching the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, I do think that you need somebody, if they are a big name, if they are a sexy name, that has the ability, whether they've proven it in the past or you just believe that they have the ability to do more with less. And to your point, at least he can point to some instances where he has done that.
Incidentally, he played for Marcelo Bielsa at Newell's Old Boys in the early 90s, helped them get to a Libertadores final. Tata Martino was also a player on those teams. So Pochettino sometimes does get included in the Bielsa tree, but he's veered off in so many directions over the years that I don't think anybody looks at him still as a Bielsa disciple. I mentioned he has no international experience as a coach. As a player, he did play for Argentina in the 2002 World Cup. He actually is the one who fouled Michael Owen in the box. David Beckham converted the penalty. England famously beat Argentina 1-0 in that World Cup. Pochettino to this day thinks that Owen dived on that play. It shouldn't have been a penalty. But so he has experienced the highest level of the international game, at least as a player.
All right. I mean, do it. Just
You're ready to get this over.
I am. I know, and I recognize that there are people that are listening. There are people that are watching that are saying, "Hey, let's make sure that we get this right because it's so important because of all the things that I just told you about." But there is also a part of me and a big part of me that just says, "Yeah, but we're wasting time, and you're never going to get the perfect candidate. You're never going to get someone that checks every single box, either because that person at that moment is not available, or what is more likely the reality is that person doesn't exist, no matter who it is. All right, there are always going to be problems, but at some point, do it, and they will do it. And I hope that we don't go past a September window, international window, and not have a coach. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.